I like that selfie stick.
That's it.
Or whatever it is, it's pretty nice.
That was pretty cute. It does, and there's a thing here where you can set it out and,
Snap.
well, or it's like a tripod.
Oh, nice.
So you can like set it up and like.
My buddy died. Damn it, I want to look at it. It's like time to vacation, and I'm like, I have to look at it because I'm too busy. I feel like I haven't stopped since like first
You
week
get
of
tired.
August. Oh my God, I feel tired. I just, it's like, it's been just outside, just different things. 3 weekends in a row in Florida with wedding. We went to Gatlinburg with some other couples. The wedding was up in Ohio. All the driving. Oh my God.
I definitely do.
I had to drive Mel and Julie to the airport Friday morning. I was okay by myself because I thought if I fall asleep, they're ready.
Some persons.
Really?
Yes,
If
it keeps you
it
awake.
wakes you up. Every time. Well, it might be psychological.
Do you have to like eat everything or just suck on alcohol?
I'm sorry, call the special meeting of Florence City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Present.
Ms. Chambers. Here. Mr. Wynn.
Here.
Ms. Kemper.
Here.
Ms. Wingo.
Here.
Mr. Osborne. We have a quorum.
First item on your agenda is the minutes of the October 10th business meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo? Second. Ms. Kemper? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? First, business item here is discussion of possible action of Ordinance 028, 2023. This is an ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance number 0207 in chapter 119 of the City of Florence, Kentucky Code of Ordinances, amending license requirements and regulations for sexually oriented businesses and employees within the City of Florence, Kentucky. The purpose of this ordinance is to repeal and replace ordinance number 0207 in chapter 119 of the Code of Ordinances to reflect recent federal decisions regarding sexually oriented businesses. The full text of ordinance 028, 2023, including its exhibits, is available for examination in the office of the City Clerk of the City of Florence, Kentucky, 8100 Ewing Boulevard, Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo? Second, Mr. Wynn. Mr. Hunt, you could.
Sure. So I guess first thing, apologize for the length of this ordinance. I'm sure it was fun reading it this weekend. So I guess with that, I'll start from the beginning. So in your packet, you did receive a memo from me outlining the need to repeal and replace the sexually oriented business license ordinance. As you know, prior to 2007, zoning regulations and the City of Florence Code of Ordinances did not allow in any form a sexually oriented business to operate in the county or city. In 2007, the city, in conjunction with the Boone County Fiscal Court, passed the first sexual oriented business license requirements and zoning regulations. Most of the current council members were a part of those original discussions, which included in-depth analysis that occurred during that time, and they put together a well thought out licensing and zoning procedure. So what we're discussing tonight is nothing more than a housekeeping measure. Since 2007, the nature of sexually oriented businesses, specifically definitions and numerous lawsuits have evolved, rendering many of our definitions inside the lawsuits outdated. And within the past few months, the Boone County Fiscal Court updated their ordinance to be in compliance with current laws, and tonight, that's what we're doing. So in your packet, you received a draft red line version of the proposed changes. And I understand that it was a very lengthy ordinance, and even with the red line version, it was pretty challenging to follow. And then tonight before council, I believe Melissa gave everyone a copy of the clean version of the ordinance. Is that correct? Okay. So if you kind of just want to flip through there, I will highlight the major changes that are proposed. So of course, the biggest changes are the court cases that were cited throughout the document, that those have all have been updated. The definitions are more clearly defined and expanded. New definitions are added to reflect the evolving nomenclature of the SOB industry. Hearing officers are now appointed by city council and not the mayor. There's been multiple definitions expanded. Most of those were for the definition of nudity, operator, shopping mall, sexual device, and sexual device shop. Licensing requirements have been tightened or proposed to be tightened, and that's mostly just the disclosure of past criminal activity involving sexually oriented businesses and or if the applicant has been convicted of any sex crimes. More specific time requirements are proposed for the issuance of license. The biggest thing there was in the past ordinance, the city administrator had to render a decision within 20 days. That has been moved to 30 days. A new fee schedule is proposed. Language has been added to give the City of Florence Code Enforcement Department the ability to make routine inspections and issue citations. Revocation of licensing rules and regulations have been tightened. The biggest thing there is as it relates to the hearing process, there were some major revisions. City administrator has 30 days to issue or deny a license. An applicant who is denied a license has 10 days to appeal. The applicant has 30 days to have a hearing on the appeal, and a provisional license may be issued pending an appeal. There are some changes as it relates to building requirements, viewing room size requirements, and lighting requirements. Those were all expanded. Then, of course, there is a prohibition on certain types of conduct, including touching and intercourse. And then the penalties are more clearly defined. So, while it may seem like a substantial overhaul, there was a lot of words changed in there. The fact is, the way that we have addressed sexually oriented businesses since 2007 will be the same, but our ordinance will now be in compliance as noted with all these changes. So with that, I will gladly open it up for any questions you may have.
Any discussion?
I have a couple.
Wow.
So I'm looking at this part where if I'm an employee of a cabaret sexually oriented business, that I have to apply for a license.
Correct.
And that I can be denied that license if I have former convictions for various crimes, correct?
Yep, things like sex crimes, prostitution, things like that, yep.
So I guess my concern here is if you have someone who is wanting to work a legitimate job and they have in the past had run-ins with the law, but we're not giving them that second chance to go straight with their working record because of things they've done in the past.
Sure.
I just don't see a reason why if someone has a conviction for something previously that they in the past 5 years that they shouldn't be allowed to dance.
Well, I think each application that we would review, we would take all things in consideration. If it was ruled that they were not allowed to get a license, they do have an appeal process that they could come before a committee to make their case. So, and that's the way that it's written, unless council has an appetite to change that or amend any of those rules, I would recommend that it would stay that way. I think that is most fair. If somebody's been convicted of prostitution, for example, I think that's pretty good rationale for denying a license.
Other questions?
So on here it says that if we were to issue a business a license, that they would not be able to sell alcohol.
Correct.
I just want to clarify, is that beer and liquor?
Not only is it beer and liquor, they cannot be within 1,000 feet of an establishment that has an ABC license that sells beer or liquor.
Okay, and then also the fee that we're charging these would-be employees is $100 for this application.
Correct.
We don't think that's excessive for someone that's trying to get a job and get their life together?
I do not. My council thinks so. right in line. I guess for clarification, there was currently there was nobody being charged those fees. From a worker point of view, there are no adult cabaret establishments within the city of Florence. And actually, in my 22 years here, not once have I ever fielded a call about opening an adult cabaret or anything that would offer live music shows.
And then on page, well, I don't know, these pages aren't numbered, but it talks about the address of the sexually oriented business would be on the employee's license. So that would prevent them from working at other clubs in the city.
Assuming that there was multiple adult cabaret clubs potentially, but I don't know. We're kind of really reaching here because it's very few and far between of where an establishment like this could even take place.
Wouldn't they have to just apply for another license?
They would,
And pay multiple fees, correct?
if there was more than one adult cabaret place within the city of Florence, yes, they would have to pay multiple fees.
Okay, and then on the
It
hours,
would be the same, like we had a circus recently at Mall Road, and all the circus performers, they had to each individually apply for a license because they were paid individually. So if they had a circus on Mall Road, they'd have to get a license. If they had a circus at Boone County High School, they'd have to get a different license for that location as well. Or if there's a Dairy Queen or a Burger King, they have to get a license for every office that they open up. If there's multiple at the location.
so it says here the hours of operation that we would allow such a business would be between, would have to be closed between midnight and 6 a.m.
Correct.
What are the current hours that bars and restaurants and other clubs are allowed open in the city?
Well, license holder of NQ1, 2, and 4, ABC license are totally different. It depends. So it's typically 2 a.m. unless you have, like Turfway Park and Hilton can serve a lot later because they have extended supplemental hour license. But these are not one and the same. A place that serves alcohol, an adult cabaret establishment, which is what I believe you're referring to, are night and day, totally separate ordinances.
And then I'm looking at this part that says, the employees have to remain 6 feet away from the patrons.
Correct.
So just to be clear, that would eliminate any type of private dances.
You are correct.
And then I'm just wondering if there would be any effect on photographers that do like the boudoir shoots with these type of definitions.
No, I don't believe, I guess, not based off the definitions we have in here, no. That, places like Blockbuster, although they're no longer, I think there's one Blockbuster left in the United States that sell or rent videos, those are exempt as well. I do know what you're referring to, no.
I just want to, it's okay if I make a comment, but this is a lot of information.
Sure.
And, we're given these packets at 4 p.m. on Friday. And no one from the city is available to us until, 8 a.m. on Monday to speak to us about these. You and I spoke on yesterday at 4 p.m. when you were
Correct.
available and I was also available. I just think it's a lot of information and there's some things to balance here, including the rights of these workers that would be wanting to get a job. I know there's no establishments right now, the rights of the business owners, and then also the interests of the residents of this city. And I don't know if am I allowed to make a motion to maybe postpone any action on this?
Leslie, I guess I will say that, and as we discussed on the phone, a lot of the issues you have are not with anything that's proposed to be changed tonight. There may be some definitions as it relates to some of the things that you have concerns with, but these were already on the books established procedures that are part of the licensing process. So that there's no motion in its current form to amend or make any of these changes that I think you're alluding to. I guess if you would like to make your motion, go ahead.
Yeah, we would withdraw that motion.
No, well, they may not want to, so,
Well, that's true, yes.
but a motion to table cannot be made within. Okay, so just as a matter of parliamentary procedure, I thought that was correct. There is a motion and a second, so the motion, would have to fail or pass before we could consider another motion
Okay.
to table. Unless they want to withdraw the motion, but they do not. And it was Ms. Wingo who made the motion. Mr. Wynn, so he does not either, so. We do have a motion and a second. Do we have further discussion?
I would maybe say that we pause it.
Say that again?
Can we discuss it further after, like, can we pause it for tonight?
That's up to your council members if they're,
Can we discuss further? I'm confused. I mean, I don't understand how, like, Larry Flint's store, I mean, there's a lot here that I'm confused about.
what exactly with regard to Larry Flynt's story? You can.
I mean, I don't know.
It's,
It's probably in
Josh, can
relation.
I say that is the only sexually oriented business we have in the city limits? right
Yeah,
now?
but I think some of the reference that you're referring to is as it gets into the secondary effects clause, which is a majority of what a lot of these studies and things like that were cited, and which the Supreme Court ruled on in 1979 in a lawsuit against the city of Detroit over Skid Row ordinance. I know that's a very convoluted answer to your
Well,
question. but-
yeah, I'm just confused, because I mean, if we're talking about sexually oriented businesses.
Yes.
And we have a Flint store right here in Florence.
Correct.
Can we pause and talk about this further, not tonight?
Paul, I guess let me clarify this.
That doesn't,
This does not impact him, their operation, they are, as far as I'm concerned, the way they operate their business is great, no complaints. They're approved sexually oriented business and in good standing with the city, so it does not impact them in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry if I didn't allude to that earlier.
Okay.
Valerie, Ray, can you talk about if, there's any calls to that business or?
No, I could not tell you any calls we've had to that business. We had calls there would probably be in relation to, just general complaints. We never had any calls that originated from that business or stemmed from that business, to my knowledge.
They have a great Google review as well. In case you were wondering, I researched that for this ordinance.
Ms. Wingo?
I'll just share for a minute, this, the ordinance as it currently exists, was put into place in, 2007, 2008,
Correct.
whenever that was. That's when I was the city coordinator, so I remember working on this diligently for months and months and months, working with the county and the city attorneys and outside counsel. That's how this all came about. The changes that are being proposed to it bring it current with laws that are now in effect in other areas in Boone County, also in compliance with decisions that have been made in court cases that are involved with sexually oriented businesses. So I think I look at this more as housekeeping, and it's probably easier for me when I look at this and I read all the changes in there. I understood it all because I'm familiar with this, but you have to read it and understand it. I don't know what else I can say.
Mayor, may I?
Absolutely.
One other thought here is, back in 2007, Boone County Planning Commission, in response to various federal decisions, court decisions, engaged the services of one of the nation's foremost authorities on these types of ordinances. And with the assistance of the Planning Commission, Boone County level, and the city level, the current ordinance was drafted and adopted. And about 6 months or so ago, Boone County reached out to their authority on sexually oriented business ordinances and asked them to update and to see if they're still compliant in light of recent decisions, or I should say federal decisions since 2007, since it was adopted. So the ordinance at the county level was revised and updated, and the ordinance that we have now, the 2007 ordinance, is modeled after Boone County's, and the one before this body tonight is, again, pretty much modeled after Boone County. So this isn't something that was drafted by an attorney that doesn't familiarize themselves and keep up on all these types of issues. This was drafted by one of the nation's foremost authorities. We wanted to make sure that it was compliant, Boone County did, and that's why they engaged him again, so.
Correct. And we don't want to have differentiating ordinances or licensing procedures in what Boone County Fiscal Court has as well. And I think one thing we haven't talked about tonight is the zoning aspect of that. This is the licensing portion of it. So just kind of a quick overview of the zoning aspect. The licensing, you can have a sexually oriented business within the city of Florence, within Boone County. We are principally permitted in a O1, O2, I1, I2, I3 zone. So that's Office 1, Office 2, and Industrial 1, 2, and 3. The biggest caveat with it is that there's a 1,000-foot requirement or setback. So you cannot have a sexually oriented businesses that sit side by side. They cannot be within 1,000 foot of a lot of different things. So residential neighborhoods, churches, schools, daycares, and there's a few others. So this ordinance is not, prohibiting sexually oriented businesses. It does identify and acknowledge the fact that it is a use category. It's just saying, okay, this is where it's appropriate, and these are the rules that you have to follow in order to get the licensing and the zoning.
And if we did prohibit it, that would be unconstitutional.
Sure.
So we're not allowed to not prohibit, or to prohibit it.
So, and you guys, if you would like to talk about it more, certainly I think you're right, but I do not foresee any changes. I would not recommend any changes. This is my third week looking at this. Spent a lot of time working with Mr. Neighbor on it. Feel like what we have here is in the best interest of the city and matches the county. This is my 2 cents on it.
All right, so we do have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers. I'm gonna vote no, and then can I explain my vote?
Certainly.
So my vote is not, in disagreement with anything that Josh has said, or anything that Ms. Wingo has said. It's, and I just don't feel like, I've been able to put in enough research of my own, to vote yes at this moment.
And I just want to clarify, if you are voting yes, you are voting for the amendment regarding licensing requirements.
Mr. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Kemper,
I'm gonna abstain. I want further discussion.
Ms. Wingo,
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 3-1 with 1 abstention from Councilmember Kemper.
Thank you. Next item is ordinance O29, 2023. It's an ordinance providing the creation of the Florence Veterans Commission. The purpose of this ordinance is to create a Veterans Commission, thereby creating a support system, community recognition, resources, and comprehensive community relations for veterans and those who have served this nation. The Veterans Commission shall act as an advisory body to the mayor regarding military veterans programs, veterans organizations, and veteran-related activities. The full text of Ordinance O-29, 2023, including its exhibits, is available for examination in the office of the city clerk of the city of Florence, Kentucky, in the Florence Government Center, 8100 Ewing Boulevard, Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Is there a motion? Mr. Nguyen? Second, Mr. Carroll. Just for purposes of introduction, we did supply you with a memo in your packets regarding the establishment of the Florence Veterans Commission. This actually was initiated by Councilmember David Osborne, and it's a shame he's not here tonight, not feeling well tonight with us. Mr. Osborne, a veteran himself, served in the Army, very proud of his service, very proud of his community, and felt that there was more that we could do for our veterans. We do have a large amount of veterans on our city staff in each of our departments, our police and our fire, our public services, as well as in our administration department. These veterans serve our city and serve our citizens. And my dad being a veteran, my two brothers being veterans, veterans causes are very near and dear to my heart. So when David wanted to start, he started small. He wanted us to have a parking sign on our campus that was designated veterans parking. And so we did that, and we worked also with the Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame, which was actually originated from H.B. Deathridge right out here out of Florence. And the idea just kind of took a life of its own, and we decided that a Veterans Commission would be a great way for us to show the Northern Kentucky community that Florence is a welcoming place for veterans, and we would encourage them to come work here, to come live here, to get involved in our community. I've asked Greg Clift of our Public Services Department to be the staff liaison for this commission, and Greg is here tonight. Do you want to, you're a man of few words, you want to speak, or do you?
I don't know if I can follow the current discussion.
You're fine. And then Mr. Gary Jett is here as well. He's in the front row there with next to Greg. He's also agreed to serve as well. We do have some other veterans as well who have showed an interest. And so the ordinance before you tonight is an ordinance to establish a Veterans Commission. We believe that looking at all the other cities in Northern Kentucky, we probably are the first city to establish a Veterans Commission. So I would entertain a motion, or do we have a motion? We had a motion and a second, so do we have discussion?
Mayor, I support it wholeheartedly. I think that we're moving in the right direction. Anytime that we uphold people who have taken part of their life and make our country and our city safer. And I don't think we do nearly enough for our veterans. So I'm happy to speak in favor of it. I'm happy to vote for it later.
Any other discussion?
I would like to say that as the mother of a child that is serving in the Army now, I really think this program would be great. And I think that once he comes hopefully home to Florence, that being involved in this commission would be a great way to allow him to remember his service. I also, part of this memo, it says the commission will also serve as a resource for veterans in our city, assisting them with various needs and connecting them with relevant services and support. And I think that's amazing.
And I don't know if it was mentioned, yes, it was, we do have an adopted military unit, the Renegades out of Fort Campbell, who are currently deployed, and we hope that this commission can be our link with that group as well. Make sure we can send them over messages of inspiration and care to them from the citizens of Florence as well. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes?
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Kemper,
Yes.
Ms. Wingo,
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a City of Florence Planning and Zoning Committee appointment. And the Florence Planning and Zoning Committee is a committee of 2 members of City Council. It is not to be confused with the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have different members who are appointed to that board. They serve independently. They represent the city on the overall commission where they hold public hearings and make recommendations to the city with regard to planning and zoning matters. The Planning and Zoning Committee is a committee of 2 council members. Currently, it is Gary Wynn and Patricia Wingo, and they are the first ones to review any kind of planning and zoning matters, and then they make recommendations to the council as a whole. Their recommendations are not binding, but they do a lot of research. They do meet with developers or get more additional information as is needed. And they bring that information to the city so that we can hold votes on planning and zoning matters. However, occasionally, there is a conflict of interest that might arise. That's my phone. I'm sorry. Everybody and their brother should come in a council meeting. So there is a conflict of interest with regard to Ms. Wingo in a property that's located across the street from her. And she, for this zoning map amendment request, she needs to recuse herself from her conflict, and we need to appoint a different planning and zoning committee member with regard to this one zoning map amendment request by Dan Hughes for property located at 8269 Pleasant Valley Road. I did receive a letter with regard to this conflict from Ms. Wingo asking that she could recuse herself and would not participate in the decision regarding the property, and so that a planning and zoning committee member should be appointed as a temporary member to replace her. Mr. Carroll has agreed to serve in that capacity, and at this point, I would entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Carroll as a temporary planning and zoning committee appointee. Mr. Nguyen?
I'll second it if I can. Okay, I'll second it.
Ms. Wingo? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mr. Carroll, you've got yourself a new job temporarily. All right, mayor's report. The YMCA is hosting a senior fall festival on Friday, October 20th from 10 to 2. That's this Friday at the Thomas More Stadium, home of the Florence Y'alls. All seniors are invited to attend this free fun fall event. Should be a lot of vendors at this particular event. So if you're a senior, I think the weather's gonna hold fairly decent for Fridays, hopefully. So hopefully we'll have a good crowd in the city. The 2023 leaf collection program will begin October 23rd and run through December 21st. Contact the City of Florence Public Services Department at 859-647-5416 for more information. The schedule is also on the City of Florence website. And Eric, I do believe we go to each street 3 times. So that sometimes you'll see the notice and you'll be like, oh darn, I didn't get my leaves raked. Well, just check the website. We'll probably be coming back another time. Make sure to get your leaves raked into the curb, and they will come by and get those. Event you don't want to miss is the annual Halloween Night Out. It'll be held next Tuesday, October 24th at Thomas More Stadium, and it's from 6 to 8, so there will be no city council meeting that night. I encourage everyone to attend the event. The event will be a spectacular family-friendly free event and be held rain or shine. And I think we're going to have a little competition between our departments of who has the spookiest display. Chief Randy, you up for the job? You're ready? He had to go home and get his props in West Virginia, so we'll see what he comes up with this year. Florence Police Department is going to participate in the National Prescription Drug Take Back Day on Saturday, October 28th from 10 to 2. There will be 2 drop-off locations, the north parking lot of the Florence Government Center and the Florence Kroger Marketplace, 7685 Mall Road. Call the Florence Police Department at 859-647-5420 for additional information. There will be no council meeting on October 31st, as it is a 5th Tuesday and it is Halloween. Trick or treat hours will be from 6 to 8 in all of Boone County. So we will be having Halloween from 6 to 8 in the city of Florence. The Household Hazardous Waste Collection event at Thomas More Stadium is scheduled for Saturday, November 4th from 9 to 2. A pre-registration form must be filled out, and you may obtain the form on our website and the county website. You must be a Boone, Kenton, or Campbell County resident to participate, and no businesses. Please contact the Boone County Coordinator, Jake Berger, at 859-334-3151 if you have questions. In a partnership with Florence Christian Church, the city will be hosting the Witness Tree event. This event will be held beginning November 1st and run through November 11th, daily at 8 a.m. on the campus of Florence Government Center at the Boone County Veterans Memorial. The event will last about 15 to 20 minutes. And at the Witness Tree event, we will be placing dog tags on the trees of the Government Center, 22 dog tags to represent the 22 servicemen and women who commit suicide daily. So it's a somber remembrance of those who have given so much of their sacrifice to the country. City of Florence will hold their annual Veterans Day program on Saturday, November 11th at 2 p.m. at the Florence Government Center Community Rooms downstairs. The Honor Run Half Marathon will be held the morning of Sunday, November 12th. There will be road closures during the race, and those closures will be posted on the city website and social media. It is a Sunday morning, pretty early at 7 a.m., so it doesn't take too many people by surprise, but every year we have a few people who wonder what the heck's going on. It's the Honor Run Half Marathon. And we love that marathon. It raises money for Honor Flight. And they come every year and give us a recap. So we're looking forward to a great honor run this year. Is there anyone on council who desires recognition? Any department heads? Anyone in the audience? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Carroll?
Second.
Second, Ms. Wingo, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for coming tonight.